college football podcast, joined as always by Clinton Boring. My name is Ryan Satkoviak. The season is over, Clinton, but the news never stops. What a week it has been. It has been nonstop. It's been more chaotic than the last week, I think, with how everything has progressed this week, from the playoff selection to Notre Dame's firestorm against God and everyone else. And now, apparently, the coaching carousel is not over either. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm doing better than all those Michigan fans out there right now because they are in a shitstorm of panic about what's going to happen with their next coaching job. It's cold in Columbus, as it should be this time of year. We are heading for, I don't know what Ann Arbor is going to be around with you, but Sunday is a high of 15 and a low of 5.
Yeah, that
and
sounds
then,
about right.
like the wind chill, I think we're supposed to be below 0.
Yeah.
So it is going to be crazy. We're hoping to do a little Christmas shopping this weekend. It feels so weird this time of year, and I think we did the same thing last year, that we go from 3 times a week for 4 months to then we do one Sunday and then nothing till Thursday and then likely nothing till early next week and then our Pick'em show. So it feels odd to have all that all at once and then just kind of like, oh, I have a couple day break. This is kind of nice. Get some things done around the house. Mr. Ryan, how are you?
You're telling me, man, I'm already powered out of college football mode.
Well, true. That's right. What a difference a year makes, where you and I last year run it all the way to the end.
Literally went to February, and now I'm here 2 weeks before Christmas, and I'm like, well, what do I do with my life now?
You watch more hockey.
That's what Sam said. She's like, why don't you build up into hockey? I'm like, because it's the regular season, and my team plays all their games at 8:30, and I'm not staying up to watch regular season. Also, they're beating the shit out of everyone.
Not the Blue
You want to, hey,
Jackets.
you want to talk about stupid fucking playoff systems? The Stars and the Avalanche are by far the best 2 teams in the NHL. It's not even close, and they're going to play each other in the second fucking round.
That's interesting.
You got the 2 best teams, and one of them's going to be out by the second round. It's such a dumb system.
Sorry,
So
the Blue
stupid.
Jackets are winning it all, so it doesn't matter.
That is patently false.
But you know what the problem's really going to be is Ohio State gets bounced in like their first game. What happens if all of our teams lose right away? What do we do?
Yeah, what happens if Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana all lose in the quarterfinals, and then we got fucking SEC versus Texas Tech versus SEC versus SEC?
Do we?
I ain't talking
have
about
we have
that.
to talk about that.
I ain't talking about that.
We'll just recap the other 4 teams rest of the season.
Yeah, I guess. Just
Talk
go
about
from
bowl
there.
games
Yeah, there you go.
and how meaningful they are.
We could talk about the Maction and the bowls and all that fun stuff.
So I'm looking over here to Owen's monitor, and he has this. For those of you who know or don't know, it's called a Squishmallow. So it's like a really giant squishy pillow. The kid put it in his bed, and he's sitting here hamstring curling it.
For him.
He's prone hamstring curling it. I'm like, what is in his bed? And I'm like, shit, he picked that giant ass pillow up and put it in his bed, and he's in there getting some workout in. Quick side funny story. Last night, we were messing around in our room before we put him to bed. And I kid you not, Ryan, he drops down into a perfect 3-point stance like an offensive lineman. He says, set, hut. And he sprinted right at me and ran into me. I was like,
Nice.
that is a proud father moment that my son just hit a 3-point stance and barreled right into me.
Nice.
Absolutely. And then both of them woke up this morning, came down in the basement while I was working out because they woke up too early, and they did sports. They did football. They did hockey. They did baseball. Owen line drive me in the chest with a ball off the tee that still kind of hurts my nipple just a little bit. But I mean, he hit me square right in the nipple, dude. I'm telling you. Like we had that conversation about my nips are always hard. That sucker receded real quick.
Jesus Christ.
He freaking drilled me. I was like, he can't hit that hard off this thing. He's 2. Freaking drilled me. That was how my morning started. But I'm looking forward to talking tonight. Guys, make sure if you're tuning in live with us on Twitter or you check us out on YouTube or tune in the next morning on Spotify, Apple, wherever your preferred podcast platform is, please hit follow. Please hit subscribe. Leave us a review. I know we're getting to the dwindling portions of the season, but also the most interesting part. Give us a follow. Ryan and I do some off-season content, too, that you'll want to follow. And then once we get kind of through the lull of February, that's when we get back into our spring previews where we have guests and come on and talk about the teams a little bit. And then we get some pretty fun off the wall, like quarterback rankings, things like that through March and April. So make sure you hit those follow buttons. Leave us a rating. Leave us a review. We greatly appreciate that.
We're up to 16 reviews on Spotify, Clinton. Someone gave us not a 5-star review, and I will find you and I will figure
Didn't give
out
us a
why.
5? What was it,
We're
a
at
4?
I don't know. We're at 4.8 stars now. Might have been
Well,
a
we
1
weren't
star.
at 16 the last time I looked. We need more Apple reviews. We've been stuck at 7 for like
I don't know if
12
anyone
months.
actually does. Anyone actually listen to Apple? I listen to Apple Podcasts. Does
Adam
anyone actually
does.
listen?
Adam, our most avid listener. And you know what he sent me yesterday? I need to post this picture he sent me. He sent me like Apple must do like a Spotify Wrapped would be my thing. Like they do their own version. His #1 podcast listened to for 2025, Inside the Pylon.
Let's go.
As it should be for all of you.
Yeah, this is the best podcast you'll ever listen to in your life.
You get
Clinton,
stories about nipples, pooping, porn references.
Yeah,
You know,
where
all
else are you
kinds of
gonna
shit
get-
that you never
where
know.
else
But
are
that's
you
within the
gonna-
first 10 minutes.
Yeah, where else are you going to get your nipple and college football talk in the same place?
I had a coworker tell me, I usually tune into you guys like 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to go, dude, you're just in for the bullshit part. If you want to hear the sports part, just fast forward to like minute 10, and then we'll actually be talking about what we're supposed to.
Yeah, right. Did you see, Clinton? They have released the 5 through 10 Heisman voting.
I did not see that.
So we all know the top 4 in no particular order: Jeremiah Love, Fernando Mendoza, Diego Pavia, and Julian Sand. That's just the order that I'm seeing them on this picture here. But they released the vote results for numbers 5 through 10. So the 5th place Heisman contender, the first person who was not invited to New York, was Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez. 6th was Jeremiah Smith. 7th, Gunnar Stockton. 8th, Trinidad Chambliss. What a story for him, starting at Ferris State last year to 8th in the Heisman voting this year. 9 was Caleb Downs, safety from Ohio State, and 10 was Haynes King. So those are your the rest of your top 10 Heisman
Those guys
voters.
got 3. Interesting.
2 non-offensive players in there too. Pretty cool.
And you mentioned Jacob Rodriguez. Last time we said a defensive player, I believe, was Chase Young, 2019, with Joe Burrow in there. And again, we haven't had one in New York for quite some time. But shout out to him. Again, Ryan and I don't follow. We watch the Big 12, obviously, but we don't talk about them. Apparently, Rodriguez has had a monster season.
He has statistically had a better season than Manti Te'o did the year he finished 2nd. It's kind of wild that given the underwhelming, I wouldn't call it, I don't know if the statistically underwhelmingness of this class, kind of crazy that he didn't get an invite because his season was impressive. And I think we're going to have to adjust our expectations now on what a Heisman season is because all these clock rules that have shortened the game, we're never going to see a Joe Burrow season. I mean, you might see like overall a Joe Burrow season when someone's playing 16, 17 games, but your end of the season, you're not going to have someone with 4,500 passing yards and 48 touchdowns or whatever he had.
Would you say if Genty was in this year, he would win the Heisman?
Oh, 100%. Unquestionably.
Easily. Monster season. Just time and place. And it's unfortunate, right? He had
sure,
way better season last year for a Heisman than anybody's having this year. And that's not to knock Jeremiah Love, Julian Sand, Fernando Mendoza.
He had almost 1,000 more yards than Love did rushing.
That's
now, if you go total yards, it's a little closer. But
now that's a G5 team I could get behind being in the playoff. This year's teams, I don't know. We'll get there next week when we get to break these games down. I'm excited and really hope Oregon gets through a really tough battle with James Madison at home, so that we can break down Oregon versus Texas Tech.
I'm sure Oregon is going to be so pressed in that game, Clinton.
Just listen to Dan Lanning talk today.
Oh, yeah,
you just need to win more games if you want to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's only if it was as easy as that. Before we kind of get into a little bit of a season wrap up where we will talk through our preseason projected playoff brackets that were so fantastic. I had a couple of really good ones and a lot of bad ones. The breaking news of the week. The coaching carousel is not over. Michigan is looking for a new head coach. Sherrone Moore has been fired by the University of Michigan with cause for an alleged inappropriate relationship with a staffer. And then, boy, did Twitter get dark last night with details coming out about this. Clinton, I don't want to get too much into the allegedness of all of it because this will eventually be litigated in the court of law. I will say working in Ann Arbor and knowing people who are not like in the athletic department, but who are adjacent to it, there is truth to a lot of what's going on Twitter, and that's about all I'll get into it with that. But the bottom line here is I get everyone was getting the jokes out initially, but this ultimately is a fucking messed up, sad situation, and it's easy to forget that these are people on the other line. And for how we watch this sport and we commodify this sport and we think of it as transactional, personal happiness, you are watching real people who are on the screen. And yes, they are insanely wealthy. And oftentimes it's hard to have empathy for someone who's making that much money. But don't lose sight of that fact.
Yep.
These are real people who are affected. There are multiple lives who have been ruined by this. And ultimately, Sherrone Moore is a grown man and he made his decisions and he is going to have to answer for that ultimately in the court of law when he is, I believe, going to be arraigned tomorrow and charges will be presented against him. And there will be more information with that. But we can't forget the human side of this. We're not here to talk about the human side of this. We're here to talk about the football side of this. And it's an incredibly fascinating time for Michigan because on the one hand, you miss the coaching carousel.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, you have the carousel to yourself. You don't really have to rush through this. The portal doesn't start until January. You have plenty of time to go through here. If you want to wait for a coach who's in theory in the college football playoff, you can do that right now. I don't one of the conspiracy theories I saw was it was real messed up for them to wait after signing day to do this. That's not why they did it. It's my understanding that the new information that came to light was a real thing. It wasn't just people withholding information or Michigan dragging their feet. There was a meeting this week with legal representation, and that's why the firing happened this week and not previous weeks. So there was no conspiracy with that. And again, it doesn't matter even if there was, because it's not like their new signings are locked into anything anyway. They've already, I think one of their tight ends, Matt Ludwig, has decommitted and was released from his NLI. Michigan can't hold them to their NLIs because of the coaching change. So it's not like that matters anyway. But general thoughts on where Michigan goes from here, Clinton?
Crazy situation, as Ryan said. Thoughts, best wishes, prayers if you're in that avenue to Sherrone's wife and children and to him himself. Hopefully he can find the help that he needs to get him through this. As far as the football side, man, just crazy. I heard this rumor about a week and a half ago, I think.
Well, Clinton, this was not a kept secret in town, apparently.
Yeah.
So I was talking to someone yesterday, like right when it happened. Like I pulled up my phone right when it happened, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, Sherrone got fired!" And this person walked up to me. I was like, "Do you see Sherrone got fired? It was an alleged relationship with someone." And this person said to me the person's name immediately, like without any other context. And I was like,
Yep.
"What?" And I asked them again today. I was like, was this a thing?" And they just nodded their head and said yes. Apparently, this was like not a well-kept secret around town. Reading the Michigan boards today, apparently the Valor, which is one of the off-campus facilities that a lot of the athletes go to for strength and conditioning, apparently, like for the last year and a half, there's just been like open joking at that facility amongst players about this situation. So it's like it's not like this was well hidden. Now, talking about an alleged affair is one thing. Talking about actual legal repercussions is a completely different thing. So that's kind of, I guess, neither here nor there. Splitting, I don't know, it's splitting hairs. That's two completely separate situations. So it's not like, because you saw like Josh Pate was coming out and saying this. I think Andy Staples was coming out and saying this. And these national reporters saying, yeah, we've been hearing whispers about this for months and months. And you know, you don't report on whispers and rumors, but this is something that has been out there for a long period of time, like floating around in the ether.
There was one, I believe it was Justin Thien, the either On3 or 24/7 sports reporter for Michigan State. He alluded that this has been going on since last spring football, that whatever this is. And again, for the poor girl, obviously you got yourself wrapped up in it. It's social media. People got her name out almost instantly, which I'm sure is not going down a well avenue for her. It's just crazy, man. I'm not trying to be the Ohio State fan here. If I'm looking at this from a neutral observer, or even as a Michigan fan, 2 scandals within 5 years, man.
Clinton, it's more than 2 scandals.
Well, yes. So 2.
It's more. We're talking. We have 2 significant legal issues at Michigan in 2.5 years, and that's completely irrespective of everything that went
Why
down
am I
with
blanking on what
singing.
was his name? The one
Oh,
that had
Matt
the
Weiss,
Matt
the
Weiss.
cyber
Yes, the
crimes.
computer.
Yes.
Yes, the potential. Well, we don't want to speculate. Don't need any charges against me. There's another Michigan staffer under Harbaugh that was also arrested. He got caught on like a predator thing, trying to meet an underage kid. And he got busted. So okay, so more than two, but multiple within 5 years. And for all, I'm starting to see some Michigan fans now on Twitter at least realize and admit what is going on. There have been certain ones who have talked straight about this for a while, but there are many other people now be like just kind of tired of the Michigan M being dragged through the mud, the block M, and just people are saying we need a clean house. Anything that had ties with Harbaugh needs to be gone. We need a fresh start, a fresh name. Get rid of it all, burn it all down, and bring somebody new in and get Michigan back to what it is. And it doesn't help when you have idiots like Dave Portnoy out there
Oh, no, not
making
at all.
dumbass posts, not only
Mhm.
about his shower video, but something about, if you can't beat Ohio State, then you can't get away with your sex scandal or something. I'm like, dog, I get your Barstool is all about clicks and it's nothing but bullshit, but come on, man. And then I look at Fox and like, how do you continue to keep a relationship with that guy? Like, that's just too much. Like, Dave,
Yeah.
stick to
No,
your
I
pizza reviews and shut your mouth. That's about all you should be doing. And it's just, I don't get it. And he made another post today about he'll see the Ohio State or whatever fans in court who are, I'm just like, buddy, just put your damn phone down. You're embarrassing yourself. First of all, you don't know anything about football, so I don't know why the hell you were on Fox to begin with. Second of all, you're commenting about an extremely fragile situation. And it just, there's no humor to that. But as far as Michigan, I look at all these names they're saying, and Ryan, I've seen as far as Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, like, guys, that's not happening. And most
no.
sane Michigan fans realize that that's not the case. But I know the front runner is DeBoer, and even now that is being poo-pooed on by people from Alabama. But wouldn't you be a bit nervous about taking this job? Like, wouldn't you be afraid that there's some type of maybe an NCAA repercussion for this? Someone
Well,
was saying like filing a Title IX for this. And
I
just,
I
I
don't
would
know
be.
where that would go. My concern would be in taking this job right now. There's no president. There's an interim president, and it sounds like they're trying to hire someone before the end of the year. Who's going to be your athletic director? Because there's been a lot of conflicting information just coming out today. Is Ward Manuel making this hiring? Is he going to be here to make this hiring? Is he going to make it in concert with the Board of Regents? Has he been fired? Has he not been fired?
Should be
I would
fired.
be especially, yeah, he should be fired. Like, but listen, there's been a common denominator here. And I mean, I think he gets a little bit of good grace with Michigan fans because he hired the basketball coach who's murdering everyone
God,
right now.
yes.
But the football program, the last five, this has all been under him. All of these scandals within the football program have been under him. And I mean, we are talking like a significant lack of institutional control now. Like, this is insane how this keeps piling up.
Absolutely.
He cannot be the guy who makes this hire. He cannot be the guy who is leading this athletic department anymore. And if he's still here and I'm a coach and I'm interviewing, I'm looking across the table and I see an interim president, I see a lame duck athletic director. I'm like, why am I going to leave my cushy Power 4 job where I'm making a shitload of money to come here to a situation where I don't know who my boss is going to be by the time the season kicks off? That's a
Absolutely.
precarious position to be in. So Michigan's got to get that figured out first. And maybe they get that figured out before they get the football coach hired, and all's well that ends well with that. But ultimately,
The other repercussion, though, is you mentioned the release of the players they just signed, and not only those, but current players. There
yeah,
was something out today
listen,
that Bryce Underwood is evaluating who they bring in as head coach, and if he doesn't like it, he's gone. I
I'm going
think
to
he's
be
probably
honest
gone
with you.
already.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be like when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame and nobody followed him to LSU. I don't think people were coming to Michigan for Sherrone Moore.
No, but I think Bryce Underwood very well. He was originally committed to LSU, and you have an even better coach there now with Lane Kiffin, who has a shit ton of money, and he has no buyout in his clause, so he's free to go, man. I mean, that would be a bummer for Michigan, but
Well, the other side of that coin is, yes, he has potential. Are you going to outbid Michigan for a quarterback who wasn't that good this year and didn't really get better as the season went along.
I think somebody would, or would attempt to.
Or if you're Bryce Underwood and you're sitting there and saying, well, I could go uproot my life and go to LSU, or I can stay at Michigan when they hired Kalen DeBoer, or they
Jed
hired
Fish,
Jed Fish.
who both do good for quarterback. What if they hire Brian Kelly, though?
If they hire Brian Kelly, I'd be out. I'd be like, no fucking chance in hell. Goodbye. See ya. I'm not even waiting for the introductory press conference.
Yeah,
Peace.
I mean, they could get pigeonholed into something like that. The Bama stuff that's coming out today, that Kalen DeBoer is happy. He's happy where he's at.
I don't.
We'll
know
see
that I
about
believe
how
that.
happy you are if you lose to Oklahoma next week.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is
And you
if
have 4 losses this year.
they put up a stinker
3.
against Oklahoma and they lose that game 13-10. I don't think he's going to be. Very
I
happy.
also saw another laughable thing about Brent Venables. I'm like, you guys are just naming coaches that are in the playoff.
Yeah, right.
My God, he's
Well,
not
it's like-
leaving Oklahoma.
Well, naturally, you got to throw Marcus Freeman in there for a job opening. The former Buckeye.
About
now
Ryan
head coach.
Ryan Day in there.
Yeah, why don't Ryan Day come to Michigan? Ultimately, I don't know where this falls on the pantheon of like top jobs in college football. It's top 10. I'd say it's probably it's better job than Penn State.
100%.
I don't know. Like once you kind of get past like Georgia, Ohio State, I think everything else is kind of in the eye of the beholder, and you can kind of rank the next 7 jobs based on what you are specifically looking for. So like in a vacuum, is Michigan a better job than Alabama? I don't know that I would go there. But does Michigan fit someone like Kalen DeBoer better than Alabama does? I think you can make an argument for that. It's all about personality, where you're comfortable, where your past experiences are. I think the pressure cooker, there's pressure at Michigan. Let's not get that twisted, but
100%.
it's not the same pressure cooker as at Alabama. That
No,
is a
because-
completely different level, especially with them still being in the throes of the Saban era.
Absolutely. That's the problem with the Alabama.
Mhm.
And DeBoer's going to be called a bitch and all this and that if he leaves them. But that's an impossible situation for a guy to have to follow. Kirby Smart wouldn't even have left to take that job.
No.
Because Nick Saban is the greatest college coach of all time. And
Well,
there's
also
no debate.
Georgia's a better job than Alabama, but I digress.
I mean, their campus life is pretty shitty. I've talked to people about that. It's pretty boring. It's probably why they're speeding all the time. They got nothing else to do.
Did you ever read Nick Saban's book? If you're out chasing tail after 12 o'clock, it's not worth it.
I love Nick Saban.
Someone posted a passage of his book. It was really funny. It was
The
like
thing about Saban, he doesn't care. He's upfront and honest. Doesn't give a shit.
he was talking. He was like, if you're gonna step out on your significant other, you do it with someone who has as much or more to lose than you do. Which is why if I'm ever sleeping around on Miss Terry, it's gonna be with Hillary fucking Rodham Clinton. I'm like, this man knows what's up. And then I thought about Nick Saban and Hillary Clinton together, and it ruined my afternoon. Anyway, I digress.
That is not a glorious piece that I want to see.
No, and now you're going to think about it tonight, Clinton. So
Nick's
you're welcome.
him and Miss Terry are testing out that hippie got replaced anyways. So
Jesus
it's all right.
Christ. So I'm curious to see where Michigan goes. I think this is a situation where if this is dragging into next week and we're not hearing a ton, I think that's going to start turning the DeBoer smoke into a fire. But it seems at this time that is the way that they're going to try to go. Whether that's reciprocated, we'll see. I feel like Jed Fish would jump for this job in a
100%
heartveat.
if they offer it.
Fucking
Again,
heartbeat.
they have to offer it to him.
For sure.
He was
Agreed.
all about the
Yep.
Florida thing, and they didn't want him.
They didn't want him.
Went for Sullivan. Would you think, Ryan, if Michigan is able to poach DeBoer, let's say they lose next Saturday, would Lane Kiffin then go to Alabama?
That would be pretty funny. What would be your favorite Lane Kiffin at LSU memory?
Probably just one of the tweets he sent out.
Would it be
Boarding his plane?
boarding his plane when he was getting flipped off at the Oxford?
Could you
airport?
imagine that shit, dude?
That'd be crazy. I don't know that he would. I don't know that they would offer it to him. I think
Would
there's-
LSU just call Brian Kelly back?
no, there's no way. I think
Ed
there's
Orgeron?
I think there was some I think there was some low key chatter that the way that Kiffin handled himself and left Alabama probably rubbed some people the wrong way there. Again, I don't know how true that is, but
I bet you Alabama would be making that Dan Lanning call again.
yeah, for sure. You got to try.
Or Dabo. Dabo Swiney. That's his alternate identity.
That'd be an interesting.
So how he's applying his name on the application for the job.
That would be if Alabama came open. That would be an interesting
his
one.
alma
That would
mater.
that would throw the coaching cycle into carousel into chaos again.
God, what a year it's been, man. Just in season, plus all the speculation of what the hell's going to happen with the playoff next year. All these coaching changes.
Yeah, it sounds like they're having their meetings in Las Vegas right now, and it sounds like it's almost near unanimous agreement to expand to 16 for next year. But there is one holdout, Clinton, and I'll give you three guesses to figure out who
Tony
it is.
Petitti.
And the first two don't count. Yes, it's fucking Tony Petiti who needs
What's
to
his
get
4-4-2-2?
he needs to get launched into the fucking sun. This man has no business being near college football because the Big Ten and the SEC have to agree. The rest of it doesn't really matter. But for it to change for next year, the Big Ten and the SEC have to agree, and he is still holding out for 24.
He
with
will
some
eventually be
version.
bent over. It doesn't matter. It's coming.
Yeah. So we'll kind of keep tracking that as we go through here. We'll keep tracking the Michigan head coaching search as that starts to heat up over the next couple of weeks here. And what dominoes might come from that, but that'll be interesting to follow. Clinton, let's next. I should have made a sound for this. I was really slacking on this. Let's do a little bit of season recap before we talk about our playoff brackets here, mostly because I want to talk about the playoff brackets that we formulated preseason, which were. I went back and listened to that episode because I didn't write mine down and I forgot that you tweeted them out. But I was listening to a couple of our takes through here. I wrote them down because there were some good ones. There were some good ones and there were some bad ones in here. I wrote down mine. I wasn't listening to what you were saying. So this was the first. We did this episode. It was right after the Ireland game, and we were talking about the Avery Johnson brother and his father fight, and I just giggled again because you didn't realize that they were fighting each other. And I wanted to reminisce on that.
Certainly did not. I was completely lost on that.
So if everyone wants to go back into their memory banks and think about the hot teams of the preseason, there was a lot of Clemson, there was a lot of Penn State, there was a lot of Texas talk. Clinton, you were very high on Clemson. I did have my Clemson in my playoff field, but I did say to you, do you worry that Clemson is a higher level Illinois, that we are overrating them based on how last season ended? I do wonder about Clemson's true ceiling. I think they're they're more of a team that gets in the playoffs and we'll see, as opposed to a true national title contender. So I was not nearly as high on them as you were, and even I was still too hot on Clemson. I also did call Cade Klubnik one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, but I did say I do worry about their O-line run game and back seven, and as it turns out, all of those things were bad, and they were bad this year. And they're playing Penn State in the postseason, but in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl.
You know, I'm not going to dive fully in that yet because we'll get to the playoffs. That was not my brightest moment. I bought into the Clemson stuff. Cade Klubnik was overall, he was fine. He was just surrounded by a bunch of just a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, looking at the Big Ten, our thoughts were, I'm pretty sure both you and I had Penn State finishing likely in the top three.
I did not. I had them in the playoff, but I had them at 6.
No. Top three of the Big Ten.
Oh, they would have been third in the Big Ten.
I'm
yes.
referencing
Actually,
Big Ten right now because you had
No,
them
I
higher because
would've-
you didn't have Ohio State in
No, I had them. I had them finishing second in the Big Ten,
with a loss too.
losing at Ohio State and Iowa. They did lose to Iowa.
Who'd you have them losing to in the Big Ten championship? Though?
Oh, I had
you had them
Oregon.
win.
I had Oregon. I had Oregon going 11-1, losing to Penn State, but getting to the Big Ten title game. So I did almost nail Oregon exactly.
So when you look at the Big Ten this year, Ryan, who do you think is the most surprising team? Good,
it's Indiana.
not bad, not bad.
Indiana. It's
Absolutely.
100% Indiana. It's because
100%.
I think like Indiana was kind of that wild card this year where like I went through and I remember why I did this because when I was trying to figure out, I ended up having 3 teams tied for second place and I was trying to figure out what the tiebreaker was. And it ended up going all the way down to like combined record of conference opponents. So I'm like, well, fuck, now I need to compute this all out. So I just went through and I did everyone. I just did a schedule, like a record projection for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I had Indiana going 9-3 this year, losing at Iowa, at Oregon, and at Penn State. And we talked about this preseason. Like if they go 9-3 this year, they could still be as good of a team as last year, but they just lost tough games against really good teams on their schedule. And not only were they way better than last year, they benefited a little bit from Penn State being bad, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they handled Oregon pretty well. That was one of the most impressive wins of the year, but they struggled against Iowa in that game. But, man, you talk about a team that again, it's just such an unbelievable rise. Like you're sitting here thinking, is this a team that caught lightning in a bottle because they played a garbage Big Ten schedule last year, and maybe they'll be good this year, but they'd probably take a little bit of a step back. And they took a massive step forward. They ran through the Big Ten undefeated. They won the Big Ten title. They are 13-0 and the number one seed in the college football playoff. When I don't like, if you looked at their odds to make the playoff preseason, there's like a like the FPI had them as like a 9% chance. There was not a given that they were going to even make the playoff this year, let alone make the Big Ten title game, let alone win the Big Ten, let alone go undefeated.
When we looked at that schedule, that was obviously the big three: at Oregon, at Iowa, at Penn State. These weren't home games, man.
No.
These were all on the
No.
road.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what you think of Penn State probably played their best game of the season against Indiana in that game.
Well, I'd say Oregon,
After
but-
everything that happened,
well, I'd say they played better against Oregon.
they did, but after everything that had happened, once
Yeah,
the fallout had
sure,
happened,
sure,
and you
sure, sure.
lose Aller and you don't know what the hell's going on, you're still
A
sitting there
post
baffling.
James Franklin, Penn State.
And they gave them everything they could handle, and they found a way to win the Iowa game.
Yep.
Brian, they had what, 13 points at halftime? They couldn't do anything on Iowa.
Clinton, they had 13 points with 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, until they scored at the end. And then obviously just going in and depancing Oregon in front of their home crowd was also extremely impressive. And that was the first one of them all.
Iowa was first.
Iowa was first. Second one
Iowa,
of them all.
they had Iowa and then the bye.
Maybe the first one that people actually were like, oh shit, Indiana's really good again.
Well, yeah, because everyone looked at the Iowa game and they're like, well, yeah, Kinnick's a tough place to play, but this offense doesn't look very good.
Yeah. And we sat in this offseason and said so much of Penn State's trying to replicate the Ohio State and the Michigan. And we overshot and didn't look at the fact that it was probably Indiana that did it.
For sure.
Because they brought back all their key guys, bolstered through the portal, especially, I would say, likely Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza on Saturday. And they ran through the Big Ten.
Well, Mendoza was the wild card, right?
Absolutely.
Because that was a situation where he was getting mocked in first rounds preseason, like through the summer. And I think we might have touched on it. It's like, look, if this guy hits, this could be dangerous. But like he had the physical skill set, but it didn't always come together at Cal last year. And you wondered how big of a step forward he was going to take in this Indiana offense. And if it looked more like 2024 Cal Fernando Mendoza, then well, this is a good player and they're going to be a good team, but what's their ceiling? But you get Fernando Mendoza takes a step forward from what he was last year, then this is a real dangerous team because it's going to be a really good defense. And they even had other guys on top of the guys that we knew about stepping up.
Jones being one linebacker. Unfortunately, I'm blanking on the name. Young man that Hardy's injured himself celebrating that. I feel so bad for the young man, and you hate to see that. And Indiana's got talent, but we talked about one thing that maybe could get them in the playoff is longevity of their depth, and that is a huge shot to them to take that hit. But Indiana, obviously the most surprising team, most disappointing team this year. Penn State,
unquestionably,
100% the most disappointing. I would also throw Nebraska in there, man.
Oh, for sure,
disappointing.
For sure. I had them going
again.
Yep, I had them at 9-3.
Yeah,
prediction.
I had them 8-4, 9-3 as well. And just now you have speculation that Dylan Raiola may also be transferring out of here. Nothing confirmed yet, but the portal's still a month away from opening. So
yeah, I got like 3 weeks.
You fired his uncle as their offensive line coach. His brother has already hit the portal. I think the signs, when there's smoke, there's fire. I don't expect Dylan Raiola to be Nebraska's quarterback next year. I truly expect him to be at Miami or Texas Tech. And that's not to make fun and the whole Patrick Mahomes thing, but Texas Tech will need a quarterback next year. So I expect him to be there.
That'd be crazy.
I'm kind of mid-level on both Washington and Illinois. You and I kind of tampered the Illinois stuff. We talked about this numerous times. But Washington, I'm going to kind of give them they're a little bit of disappointment too. You choked on the Wisconsin game.
Well, I think like if that Wisconsin game goes the other way, they would have gone 9-3 this year.
9-3.
I
think that's what I had them at, and you must have had them at least 10-2 to get.
I had
them
at 10-2. I had them at 10-2.
But I had them 9-3. It just, I don't know. It's the same thing. Like Fish takes a team on the road, and then they lose. It was the same shit as last year. Most, it wouldn't be most surprising because we already said it, but a pleasant surprise for this year, Northwestern, 6-6. Dude, they were 5-2 at home this year.
For sure.
Thoroughly impressive. We talked
Yep.
about early season. David Braun could be one of those coaches around the hot seat. We said somebody outside of maybe like a Luke Fickle, and he was there. And I think he has 100% secured his job.
Oh,
He
yeah.
will be there in the next coming years. Wisconsin hit about exactly what we thought.
I
Disappointing.
had them exactly at 4-8.
Yep, 4-8. It was kind of a step back. We envisioned a little bit for Rutgers. I think we might have had them a little worse than that, maybe 4-8 because the schedule was harder. But finished 5-7. Michigan State, I did not see 1-8 in the Big
No,
Ten.
I
I
had
envisioned
them-
that being better.
I had them going 6-6.
I will say what I hit. I think both in spring and summer, Ryan, as I said, Maryland at the bottom of the Big Ten,
I said 4-8 for Maryland. They finished
second
4-8.
to last in the Big Ten. I thought Purdue might eclipse them this year. They got damn close in the Big Ten, 1-8 versus 0-9, which is absolutely pathetic. One of my other superlatives for this episode was most likely to get bullied, and that's Purdue because they haven't won a Big Ten game in 2 years.
Yeah, I had them at 2-10, and that's exactly what they won. I called every game correctly too. Good for me. That wasn't very hard.
No, it's not. Not when it's Purdue. I think we both had Michigan right around an 8-4, 9-3 finish, which is exactly what they were.
I had
USC turned a page this year.
8-4. I had
We
them
said
7-5. Yep.
they had to figure out a way to get over taking the half glass full approach last year. I'm like, whoa, if it does this and does that. They actually finished some games this year.
For sure.
And they're going to likely lose, I believe, both Lane and Lemon. They're going to have things to replace, but Maeva should be back next year. I believe he is draft eligible if he wanted to go. And depending upon what he chooses, maybe he could get himself into the first round of this quarterback class. I don't see Arch Manning coming out. It's
No, I
likely
don't think Arch will
Mendoza
come
at the
out.
top right now.
Mhm.
And then if Maeva wanted to stick his nose in there, maybe he could. Maybe he comes back, lights the world on fire next year for USC. Again, we'll see how they do with an even more stout schedule. But
I was going to
USC
say,
was
that's going to be a tough ask next
7-0 at home, though. Defend your home turf, man. Something they didn't. I don't think they did
That's
as
true.
well last year.
You are correct. Yep.
Then looking at Iowa, we always say Kinnick is impressive. I felt like at one point early on when we weren't seeing anything with Gronowski, and I'm like, man, feeling 8-4, 9-3 just may not be possible this year. And they got it together and finished out the season 8-4, 5-2 at home.
Yep.
One of those losses being the two losses being to Indiana and Oregon, two playoff teams. 8-4 is about what you get with Iowa. 8-4, 9-3 is exactly what you expect. Minnesota just kind of sits there in the middle of the pack. They were 7-0 at home. They lost every single road game, Ryan.
The Washington of this year, if you will.
That is diabolical. It just feels like. And, I didn't know what to say about UCLA. That's kind of the last team I don't really know where to go with. Like,
Yeah, I had them
you
5-7.
gave us a real high, but you also lived mostly in the lows. It was about what we expected, except we didn't envision them knocking off Penn State and ruining their entire season.
Yep, for sure.
Which it turns out Penn State was kind of a paper tiger to begin with, because
Yeah.
if they win that game, they still probably weren't going to be good enough.
No, but that's an interesting kind of thought experiment. Is what if they won that game but then lost to Northwestern? How long would they have kept James Franklin?
Yep. Or maybe they win the UCLA and win Northwestern, but then they just go the typical Penn State route, dropped Oregon, dropped Ohio State, but then dropped Indiana again.
Yeah.
Clinton said it in the spring, early summer. What happens if this team goes 9-3? And everybody fucking called me crazy. And what did they finish at, Ryan? 6-6.
Yep.
They were 3 games worse than that poll question I posted. And everybody laughed at me. Thought I was crazy.
Yeah, Penn State
Just
fans have
saying.
been pretty quiet on Twitter the last couple weeks.
Maybe.
couple
Other than
months, couple months.
their comments of, we got the best hire of the coaching carousel. And I'm like,
I wouldn't go that far.
maybe, because I was going to kind of say that I felt like Matt Campbell, we talked about this last year, maybe overstayed his time at Iowa State. Didn't cash
yeah,
in
for
when
sure.
his
Yep.
iron was most hot. And then this Michigan one comes open and the words come out that, Matt Campbell's been hoping to take that job for 2 years. Now he's inked at Penn State, and what does he do? And it seems very much so that he's stationary at Penn State.
No, I agree.
To stay
I'm
there.
interested to see him with resources because I just get an impression of him that he's like a far nicer version of Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good coach for Penn State. At this moment in time, I still get the feeling it's 10-2.
Yeah.
I don't know how much different than James Franklin it is, except maybe Matt Campbell clips one of these big games a little more often.
Right.
I think Rocco Becht, it
Well,
seems like, will
his big
likely be
game
joining
record
them.
is like one game worse,
Yeah,
or it's either
than
one game worse or
Franklin.
one game better than James Franklin. And granted, you can
Yep.
sit there and say it's Iowa State; they don't have the same resources as Penn State, but
Yeah, but
still,
he's also in a worse conference
also true.
and has that record.
They were not very good in the Big 12 this year, and I thought that they
No.
were going to be a playoff team.
Yep, but Rocco Becht, I would assume, follows him. That would probably signal the end of Grunkemeyer.
I don't know that I would take Rocco back over Ethan Grunkemeyer at this point in time. He was not
Might
very
need
good
to
this
go the
year.
whole different route. Maybe he tries to pluck Prabula, bring him back. I think that's going to be a James Franklin thing when this portal opens because he's going to need a quarterback
Yeah,
at Vatek, and I wonder if he goes after
could be.
Prabula. And again, for Matt Campbell, you got in now. You need to stabilize the program because James Franklin's going to be big game hunting off that roster when the portal opens, and you know you're going to lose guys because those guys played for him.
Mm-hmm.
So
For sure.
Jim Knowles now gone, defensive coordinator at Tennessee. I love
Total Nick, he's
the
gone.
tweets that volunteer fans are putting out. I was like, "Oh, Ohio State's shaking in their boots, man. He put the clamps on us 2 years ago." And I'm like, "Well, first of all, you don't play Ohio State.
Also,
And
3
second of all,
years into the
did you
3
see what
years
Ohio
into
State
his
did to their defense this year? They eviscerated them. They decided to actually throw the ball downfield that game, and they did whatever they wanted. I don't think they're scared of Jim Knowles. I will be very interested, though, Ryan. He exceeded really well in the Big 12.
It's
Did
true.
pretty damn good in the Big 10. How's he going to do with the SEC?
I don't know. Could be
We always
fascinating.
talk top to bottom. They're the best conference and most competitive. He's got a lot bigger challenge now, man. A lot
sure.
bigger challenge. And I think contract wise, he fleeced Penn State
Yeah, for sure.
compared to what he's getting at Tennessee.
So, looking at my preseason playoff projections, the good is I called Georgia as the 3 seed going 11-1 and losing to Alabama, but then
Okay.
also losing the SEC title game to Texas. Oops. I had Bama as the 9 seed at 10-2. Good for me. I had Ole Miss in the playoffs. That felt like kind of a bold projection at the time, and they did make it. Good for me. I also called Tulane. What?
I just looked at mine. I fucking called James Madison.
You called James Madison.
Let's
Yep.
go.
We both got the group of 5 team right.
Hell yeah. Put
I
us
don't think
together. We're 100%.
Don't even think, yeah, the fact that we both got the group of 5 team right, but we had different group of 5 teams, that is a problem. That is a problem.
Yeah.
The bad is I only had 5 of the 7 teams correct. My number 1 overall seed, Texas, did not make the playoff. My number 2 overall seed did go 11-1, but didn't win the Big Ten, Oregon. My number 4 seed, Clemson, was fucking terrible this year and missed the playoff entirely. My 5 seed, Notre Dame, I wrote, Notre Dame will go 11-1, start 2-0, and then lose a dumbass game somewhere in the middle. They started 0-2 and missed the playoff entirely. We already litigated Penn State. We don't have to do that again. I had 2 Big 12 teams in the field, Clinton. That also felt like a bold prediction at the time. We almost got that with Texas Tech and BYU, but I had Iowa State and Arizona State. Not great. And then the biggest whiff of all, I had Washington in and Ohio State out. Dummy. What
Actually,
an idiot.
I think the one I'm looking at may not be my final one, remember? Because I put Georgia Tech. I had Georgia Tech
You had Georgia Tech in at the
over
end. Yeah.
LSU. I
Correct.
had them over LSU. So I'm looking
Yes.
at one that I had LSU, but I had Georgia Tech actually as my 11. Doesn't matter because neither one of them made it.
Yep.
Clemson was my 1 seed. Horrible pick. So bad. Bama was my 2. So I did at least get them in the playoff. They were my SEC title winner. Ohio State was my 3 and Big Ten champion. Didn't quite meet that one there. Texas out, Notre Dame out. Dude, I'm looking at my all the way up to 5. Where's my 6? My first, the only team to make, I got 2 out of the first 6 right, Ohio State and Bama.
Woof.
My 7 seed was Michigan. Got close, but didn't make it. I had Oregon as the 10. James Madison, I hit right on the head. Arizona State, rough season, now losing their quarterback. I did get Georgia. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4,
5?
4 teams in. 5,
Yeah.
James Madison.
Oh,
5 out of
we're
12.
both the
That's
same.
horrific.
Yeah,
I think
well,
we did much better last year.
Well, so my final 4 was Penn State, Oregon, Texas, and Clemson. So I've literally missed on 3 of my 4 semifinalists.
Yep. And I have Clemson versus Texas, Penn State, Alabama. So I've got 1 of 4.
Alabama.
I can still get Bama to the Natty.
Buddy, Alabama
I had
is not
Clemson
making
winning
it
it
that
all,
far. Alabama is not making it past next Friday, my
Oh,
dude.
Lord.
That's a shitty offense.
I did nail. Nope. Ohio State's 2 seed. Never mind. I had them as a 3. Missed that one.
Biggest whiff was Indiana. That was the biggest
No
whiff.
kidding, man. And
And
it
Texas
wasn't that
Tech.
Ryan
And
and
Texas
I.
Tech. That was a
Yeah,
pretty big whiff too. They look
yeah.
fucking good on defense.
And it wasn't like Ryan and I were again.
We
We're
weren't down
doubting
on them.
Indiana. They were 9-3.
No.
We
Yeah.
had them 9-3. We just had them losing the 3 hardest road games that they were going to have to face.
Mm-hmm.
And as impressive as this season is, Ryan, and impressive as last season was, Kurt Signetti is certainly proven himself a top 10, probably top 5 coach in the country.
I think it's unquestionably a top 3 coach
Yeah.
right now.
And then
Top 5.
the
We'll say
way
top
he
5.
turned
Let's not
this
get carried
program
away.
around, the one thing too that I've noticed better with him this year is he's much less on the feeling to be cocky and arrogant in front. And
I
he
agree.
said last year a lot of it was to build the fan base, right? To build their confidence.
Oh, sure.
And
He
he
was very
certainly
brash
has, and
last year.
they
And if you
embody that.
listen to his interviews now, they're almost like serene, like
Mhm.
reflective, and he's just like taking it all in. It's like this is a completely different person.
He looks more relaxed in his interviews now this year than last year. Way less than what he does on the sideline. He puts his hands on his hips and those glasses. He's looking down and he's so pissed off.
Yeah.
But what could perhaps be his best coaching job is 2026, Ryan, because he's going to lose Mendoza. He's losing Surratt. I believe he's losing Cooper. He's going to lose guys off the O line. He's losing his studs off defense. He's going to have his best chance next year as far as to prove to everybody that Indiana is consistent. We've had 2 years, and they've absolutely earned every bit of it. Next year, to me, is the toughest job.
There's going to be a talent drain from that roster.
Yes, and again,
to the
attack the
NFL,
portal,
which helps.
Yes.
Which helps
Yes.
you. You can sit there and look at high school recruits and say, look at all these dudes that I recruited to James Madison who were under-recruited, under-heralded guys who followed me to Indiana, who dominated the Big Ten. That can be you if you come play for me.
Absolutely. And one thing he has shown, and he's stuck by this in the 2 years of portal at Indiana, he's taking guys that have played and that are proven. He's not swinging on 5-star talents that just haven't played yet.
For sure.
And I think that's a route, if you can identify the talent, that more coaches need to consider.
I agree.
Mike Norvell, take a lesson from Kurt Signetti.
Yeah.
And not take DJ Uungalele as your quarterback.
Don't take the 5-star washout who's got a shitty attitude, and that's going to...
Guys who want to come in, work hard, and play hard for you. And that's exactly what Signetti has. And that's why I think Indiana has a great chance. And again, you hope next year if they fall to a 9-3 that's not a disappointment for this team. You've had 2 elite years. 9-3 is still really damn good. And at 16 teams, if that's next year, you're probably getting in.
Mm-hmm.
You've earned enough respect now as
sure.
a program that you should be there, barring one of those losses in like a Purdue or something. You're in there. You have proven yourself. I'm curious what they do at quarterback. I know Sammy said Alberto is the one to take the reins, but if a Sam Levitt calls you, do you look at that for? I mean, he's a sophomore, so he's got 2 years. I don't know. I think he's a redshirt sophomore.
I think he's a redshirt sophomore.
But it'll be interesting to see what Indiana does. I think Nick Marsh is a serious contender to be an Indiana receiver next year. They're going to need someone to replace for him. Maybe he can get Marsh from Michigan to also come to Indiana if he transfers. And we have the Marsh twins, but on Indiana. That would be pretty fun. I don't know. This team has done a lot. We'll see how they finish this season, which I guess can kind of be a nice segue into how we're going to pick this playoff.
Yeah, before we get to that, one more point that I wanted to relitigate from that playoff pick episode. Remember, everyone, there's only been 2 instances in the last, I don't remember, 16 years that I look back, where the national champion did not finish in the previous season's top 6 of SP+. It's only happened twice, and the 2 outliers were Cam Newton and Jameis Winston led teams.
Wow.
I would suppose, like, Indiana with a Heisman Trophy winning Fernando Mendoza would fall into a team that could be an outlier there for sure. But to refresh everyone's memory, those 6 teams from the top 6 of SP Plus last year were in order: Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas, and Ole Miss. Texas, Notre Dame, and Penn State are not in the playoff. Notre Dame should be in the fucking playoff, and they might win the whole goddamn thing this year. I'm not going to get over that. So Ohio State, Oregon, and Ole Miss, those are the teams I'm looking at. Ole Miss gets a cakewalk in the first round. I think they're going to get smacked in the second round, but that's neither here nor there.
Would be. I want you to keep that, Ryan. I want you to see what happens after this year, and see how that every single year now. I want you to keep track of that.
Yeah, I'm going to, and I think
that's
like
interesting.
It's also funny too because I think Indiana's. I don't know if they're first or second in SP Plus now, but they're really good, and they might. And again, that's to emphasize, like, The exceptions to that rule have been outliers because of a fantastic quarterback. Did Jameis win the Heisman his year? I don't think. Did he win the Heisman?
Jameis Winston? No, he just won the Natty.
Okay. I couldn't remember if he won the Heisman. But anyway, if
Then he stole grab legs.
Fernando Mendoza comes in as is a transfer portal addition and wins the Heisman Trophy, that's the type of off-the-wall ad that kind of throws that type of equation into chaos. And I'm curious to track that too, Clint, especially with the transfer portal and people talk about, blue chip ratios and talent composites. Who's going to be the first sub 50% blue chip ratio team that wins a national title because they just stack their roster with a bunch of high-end transfer portal targets who are under heralded recruits, a la the Indiana model. But I'm curious to follow that this year as well. Like Texas Tech too, like they're a good exception to that rule because they spent a shitload of money on their roster.
And they're going to spend again next year.
But yes, let's talk about the playoff bracket here. So we have our 12-5 matchup: Oregon versus James Madison. Clinton,
Why don't you just pick yours all the way through and then I'll pick mine? Then
do we just want to go round by round?
No, just pick yours straight through and then I'll pick mine.
All right,
and everybody can focus in on who Ryan's picking and then who I pick, and it makes for a cleaner clip to cut.
That's fair. All right, so 12-5 matchup. Oregon's winning that game. I'm not even going to bother watching this football game. It's going to be a snoozer. Your 11-6 matchup, Tulane versus Ole Miss, a rematch that we have already seen, and Ole Miss beat the shit out of Tulane, and they are going to beat Tulane again, and I might not watch this game either. Alabama, Oklahoma, these first-round games suck, man. Can I just say that? I'm not interested in 3 of these 4 first-round games. I do not want to watch this Alabama-Oklahoma game again. It was
You know what you could have gotten, though?
It was so ugly the first time.
If Notre Dame's in, Notre Dame goes 9, you get Notre Dame, Oklahoma, potential Notre Dame, Indiana rematch, and then you get Bama.
I know, I was looking for Notre Dame, Indiana in the Rose Bowl would have been kick-ass.
Yep. Now you're getting an SEC team there, so I hope Indiana kills them. Anyways, who you picking?
Well, it's just so funny because how like the SEC has 4 teams in the first round and they've stacked it, so 2 of them are most definitely advancing because 2 play each other and then 1 plays a G5 team.
Yep.
I'm picking Oklahoma. Alabama can't move the ball. It's in Norman. I don't trust Alabama at all right now. The one I'm most interested in is
the first game of Saturday.
Yeah, because it's a generational hate watch game for me, Miami versus Texas A&M. This one's fascinating because I think the ceilings of both of these teams could win the national championship. The floors of both of these teams are not playoff teams at all. Like, we watched Texas A&M go down 4 touchdowns in the first half against a shitty South Carolina team. We saw Miami in the middle portion of their season. They were bad. That was a bad football team. So this one is 100% going to come down to who brings their best game. It kind of sucks for A&M that this is the noon game because I think if this was a night game it's still going to be loud there, but Aggie or Kyle Field at night would have been electric in this one. I'm going to go with A&M because I trust Marcel Reed a little bit more than I trust Carson Beck, for better or worse.
All right.
So that leads to a second-round matchup of Ohio State versus Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl. I'm taking Ohio State to advance in that one. All-State why am I saying the sponsors? The Sugar Bowl is going to be Ole Miss versus Georgia. Georgia's going to win that game by 1,000,000 points. Rose Bowl, Oklahoma versus Indiana. That'll be a fun defensive battle, but I'm going to take Indiana because of the offensive potential. Oregon versus Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. That'll be a really fun game. That might
be the best game of the 4.
I think that would be the best game. I think that might be one of the, I shouldn't say one of the best games of the playoffs. I think we get a pretty good national championship game, but that's going to be an exciting game to watch. I really like Texas Tech's defense. I don't know how much I like Texas Tech's offense. I think I'm going to take, I could see this legitimately going either way, but I think I'm going to take Oregon's offense.
Okay.
In that game, I like Dante Moore with the, I guess I shouldn't say the dry track because God knows the weather's going to be in
the Orange Bowl.
In the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day.
Like him good in the Peach Bowl in a dome in the next round, though.
Yeah, so that would be a rematch, Oregon versus Indiana. It's hard to beat a team twice in a year. It is so hard to beat a team twice in a year. This is, I'm going to go Oregon. I'm going Oregon in the rematch.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going Oregon in the rematch. And then That's going to be Georgia versus Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl.
Not in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Georgia actually has to play an away playoff game.
Uh-huh. I'm going to go the Bulldogs.
It's fair. So you
Sorry.
got Georgia, Ducks, Natty. Who's taking it home?
I'm sticking with my SP Plus prediction, and I'm going to say Oregon.
Okay. So Ryan has Oregon versus Georgia national championship. Ducks bringing home their first Natty. They will have to change their logo from an O
To a 1.
to a 1.
Clinton, we're calling it the Ohio State path.
Oh, because
where
of the 5 seed.
You lose your game in the regular season, you miss the Big Ten title game, you come out with a vengeance, and you beat the crap out of your opponent in the first round. Granted, the opponents are significantly different, and then you go on a rampage through the playoffs.
I think they're going to need some Decorian Moore, Evan Stewart, or Gary Bryant Jr. to get there.
I agree.
They don't have any of those. I don't know if they get there.
That's going to be tough. And like with Ohio State versus Georgia, man, I am so curious as to what the game plan is for Ohio State in the playoffs with Brian Hartline now doing his 1 foot in, 1 foot out. How much is Ryan Day taking over that, just straight up doing the game plan? Is he going to be calling plays at all? But also, given how they looked against Indiana's defense, who, don't get me wrong, is fantastic, that gives me some concerns going against a defense like Georgia's, who just, there's a chance that Alabama's offense is actually pretty good, at least throwing the ball, and Georgia just killed them. Just flat out killed them in the SEC title game. That has me a little concerned if
Certainly.
I'm an Ohio State team that can't run the ball super great and has a quarterback that has been pretty good all season, but wasn't at his best in the Big Ten title game.
All right, for me, the 5-12 matchup in Autzen Stadium, it is an easy pick of the Oregon Ducks.
James Madison, right?
Game.
You
What
know,
did I say?
Dan Lanning has a losing record against teams that wear purple.
It doesn't matter, Ryan. He's going to annihilate them. I think Oregon can get their starters out by the end of the third quarter to make sure everyone's ready to go for Texas Tech.
I feel like we need to institute a college football playoff bylaw where Oregon has to play their second and third string the entire game. I think they'd still win by 14.
That would be interesting. Rematch, Ole Miss Tulane. Again, as Ryan said, this game's not going to be close. I don't want two G5s in here. Ole Miss is going to kill them. Then we go back to our 8-9 matchup, which will probably be, I think this ends up being the closest and best matchup of the four.
Just because it's close doesn't mean it's going to be a good game.
There's a rumor floating out there that Ty Simpson has a herniated disc.
That's one of those fake Twitter accounts, though.
I think
that's
so.
kind of like you flip. It could be true, but also,
if they can get Jam Miller back, Ryan.
I love. Did you see that someone, like, they had the memo, the Alabama talking points for the college football playoff committee, and they were talking about, like, highlighting players that are injured that are going to get back. Number 1 running back, Jam Miller, 493 yards. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Get out of here with that bullshit.
I think, God, it's so tough to go against a Venables defense. But there were some fluky things that happened in that first game for Oklahoma to pull that upset. Give me the Tide. Give me the Tide to go against Indiana. And Indiana gets their chance because I think beating Alabama would be much more of a significant win for them than beating in Oklahoma because of the name. And I think Indiana matches up against Ty Simpson and the Crimson Tide. The 7-10 matchup of Miami and Texas A&M, I'm also going to go opposite of Ryan here. I think Miami finds a way, partially to Ryan's point, this game is not at nighttime. I think Carson Beck does not shit his pants and throw 4 interceptions in this game. Both teams rush the passer very well, but I think Miami rides the momentum, a la Clemson last year. I know Clemson lost in the first round, but they backdoored themselves in on a gift. A&M lost the last game they were out there. Should have been in the SEC title game. So give me the Miami Hurricanes, setting up a matchup in round 2 with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, I travel back to the top here, the 4-5 matchup of Texas Tech versus Oregon. As I said, I need to see that the Ducks receivers are healthy because Texas Tech can play some absolute defense. We already talked about Jacob Rodriguez and how much of a game changer he is. I'm actually going to go with the Red Raiders to knock off the Oregon Ducks in the Capital One Orange Bowl. I think the Ducks hopefully won't have to face like their 15th rain game of the year, and hopefully
right.
that's good weather for them. In the Rose Bowl, Indiana, Alabama. Indiana gets their shot at the Tide, and I think Indiana defeats the Alabama Crimson Tide in the Rose Bowl. To the All-State Sugar Bowl, the Ole Miss Runnin' Rebels against the Georgia Bulldogs. Ryan, just a few months ago, Ole Miss had this game and they choked it away, man. And I don't think Lane Kiffin's that
True.
big of a deal to them. I think Ole Miss is either going to come out flat as hell and maybe lose to Tulane, or they're going to come out with something to prove. And they're going to beat Tulane and they're going to beat Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Give
That'd be
me the
crazy.
Ole Miss Runnin' Rebels to the Final Four
That'd
to
be
play
crazy.
against the winner of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Ohio State and Miami. And just as we did in 2002, winning the national championship, well, technically 2003, Natty, Ohio State will send Miami back to the Dark Ages again and will beat them in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, setting up a matchup of Indiana versus Texas Tech, 1v4, and Ohio State 2 seed versus the 6 seed Ole Miss Runnin' Rebels. I can't believe I'm doing this because it's such a goddamn long shot to make it happen. Indiana beats Texas Tech. Ohio State beats Ole Miss to set up a
Shocker.
rematch in
The
the
biased Buckeye fan.
the national championship. Listen, if Ole Miss knocks off Georgia, you can't tell me you wouldn't think Ohio State's beating Ole Miss.
Well,
They're beating
Ole
Ole
Miss.
Miss.
Ole Miss isn't knocking off Georgia.
We'll see. Hey, I got to be different than you. This is to make good for good TV if I'm sitting here picking the same damn teams as you. Indiana versus Ohio State rematch in the national championship. It's too hard to beat the same team twice. Ohio State will not have the same game plan in this game. As I felt all year, Ohio State is the best team in the country. It says the Ohio State fan wearing the Oregon shirt. Go Ducks and go Bucks, right? Ohio State avenges their Big Ten championship loss to Indiana. Both teams finish 15-1 for the season, and Ohio State wins the national championship going back-to-back in 2025 and 2026, or 2024, 2026, however the hell you want to call it.
I'm just
Buckeyes
telling
win it.
you, if that happens, you're doing the fucking post-game show by yourself.
And here's my thought, and this is why I'm picking
I'm
that.
not going to do it with you. I'm not going to do it with you.
There is no chance that Ryan Day's coming out 3 and 4 tight ends as consistently he has all season in this playoff. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. This game, the loss to Indiana, is nowhere near what the loss to Michigan was last year. But I think you alluded to it, and it's already been said in the Ohio State beat. Ryan Day is going to take over more of this game planning. And they say they wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Day develops the game plan and then just Brian Hartline calls the plays from Ryan Day's game plan. So that way this team can be focused. They know what they're going for. There's a lot of self-scouting for all these teams going on right now, prepping for this. But it's hard to pick against the team, Ryan, that has been the best team all season. They didn't play their best game. Neither did Indiana in the Big Ten Championship.
Clinton, you can't even say they've been the best team all season. They just lost their most recent game.
Through the regular season.
They didn't play anyone
the
in the
number
regular
one.
season. They played Texas.
Do we need to go here? Do we really want to debate this? Who did Notre Dame play that you won in the playoffs?
Well, guess what?
Who did- who
Guess
did-
what? We're not in
who
the
did-
fucking playoffs.
Who did Texas Tech beat? Utah? That's their best win? There's a lot of who beat who here.
They beat the shit out of BYU twice.
We're going to come down to this and
The
say
best team in the
it's gonna
regular
come to the
season
damn SEC.
was Indiana. It was
That's fair if you want to have
Indiana.
that argument. I'll be the Ohio State
I don't
guy who
need.
stands
I don't need
here
to
and
have
says
that argument. Well, they
neither
settled it on
team
the field.
played-
Clinton, the
neither-
head-to-head trumps all, and they settled it on the field. I will hear no other arguments. That's the only argument that matters. See
It
how
will be.
stupid that shit sounds?
It won't matter when the rematch happens and Ohio State beats them.
There's not
because
gonna be
Ohio
a rematch
State-
because we're going to get 4 SEC
No.
teams in the Final
We're-
Four. Because
I know we're not getting it. I'm sitting here hoping because I think all of Big Ten country would love to see that game play again. And you know what? If Indiana wins it, hell yeah, good for them. You absolutely deserve it. But you're right. I think it's going to end up somehow freaking Texas Tech or Alabama versus Georgia is probably what it's going to be. And we're not going to get to pick any shit.
I do think,
we'll
like,
pick it, but
I would watch the shit out of Texas Tech versus Georgia.
if
That would be a
Texas
very
Tech
good
makes it,
game.
man, and as long as it's not against Ohio State, I am full bore Red Raider for that game, 100%. But just tell me you wouldn't like to see Ohio State break Miami's spine. Come on.
No, I would. I would prefer Texas A&M do it, but
Yep. But let the Buckeyes in. Let's let Ohio State bludgeon them. And then you can take some solace in the fact that they got erased by an actual team that they played.
I'm just really looking forward to that game on November 7th next year because I think people might like bring Roman candles into the stadium and shoot them at the Miami sideline.
Certainly possible.
All right, that is all
There's
for
our
us
picks,
today.
man.
Those are our picks. We just did all of our picks. So now we're gonna have to do a pick 'em next week.
Yeah, but we're picking with spreads. We just picked
All
these
right,
games
fair
straight up. We did
Fair
not
enough.
pick with spreads because I thought about this. I'm like, well, we don't need to do a show now. For
And
the
then we
next
got like
month.
I was gonna say we got like halfway through it, and I'm like,
No,
wait a
we
minute.
gotta break down the games and we pick with the spreads.
Yeah, what the
We
fuck
don't
are we
pick straight
doing?
up.
What are we doing next week?
I think Monday, because Thursday we'll do a traditional pick 'em, right? It's game plan.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out something for Monday. We'll have it for you guys. Maybe we'll get a guest on here. Maybe we can bring on Dale.
Yeah, we should do. Well, we should save Dale for when they play a real
Yes,
team.
Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that we don't have a real game for the first round of preview.
Yeah, because Oregon got paired with James Madison. Just bring Kirk on and talk about James Madison.
Yeah, there you go. Kirk can debate Dale.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe we'll try to swing a special now that we have a blue check mark. Maybe we can try to find somebody from James Madison that'll give us 20 minutes and tell you guys what to look forward to in that game.
Or we'll figure something out. I'm gonna percolate on the weekend. I got a
keep
lot
y'all
of free.
posted.
I got a lot of free time. We will be doing a show at 9:00 Eastern time Monday night, and then a 9:00 Eastern show Thursday night next week. 2 shows next week
With the playoff sound.
with the playoff sound. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Have a great weekend. No football. Well, I guess we got Army Navy and a Heisman ceremony.
And
We're in the shitty days.
Washington, Boise State.
Wait, is that this weekend?
That's on Saturday.
Fuck yeah! I get to watch a football game this
Go
weekend.
Washington.
Nice.
I'm picking the Huskies.
Oh, we should. Why did we not do a pick 'em for that? That was
Because you
stupid.
clearly didn't know there was a game.
I
Give me
100%.
Washington. I'm picking
100%.
Washington.
I don't even know what the spread is. Hold on. Let's pull up the DraftKings. That's so embarrassing.
Because I think we should. You talk about what we have on Monday. If we have teams playing leading up to the championship, we should be picking our Big Ten teams games, right?
We can do that.
We
Hell
don't
yeah.
necessarily need to do deep dives.
Well, I'm not going to do a preview of a bowl game. Yeah, it is 8 Eastern time on Saturday in the LA Bowl. Washington is a 10-point favorite. Give me the Huskies as well.
Was
Book it.
8 point? Yes.
10 points.
Lock of the week.
You got there's fucking one game to pick.
Give me the Huskies.
Fine, you get the sound.
Lock of the week.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the LA Bowl this weekend and the Army Navy and the Heisman ceremony. We'll see you Monday.